And Baxter was a legendary actress whose stunning good looks, brilliant acting, and memorable roles enchanted viewers. Her impact on cinema will be felt for years to come, thanks to her Oscar-winning turn in The Razor's Edge and other classics like All About Eve and The Ten Commandments. She captivated audiences with her depiction of Nefretiri in The Ten Commandments, but the controversy around her provocative outfit sparked intrigue. Audiences were compelled to ponder why the costume appeared so bold due to Baxter's creative design. Was it an error in the design, an intentional decision by the artist, or something more contentious? Find out by watching till the very end. And Baxter was a legendary Broadway and Hollywood actress from the United States. Notable among her numerous accolades are the Academy Award and the Golden Globe. And Baxter, who is famous as Frank Lloyd Wright's granddaughter, was a Hollywood powerhouse for nearly half a century as an actress. The actress has a long list of notable performances under her belt, including Batman, All About Eve, The Ten Commandments, and The Razor's Edge. She won both the Golden Globe and Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in The Razor's Edge. She portrayed Sophie in the film The Razor's Edge, a young American in Paris who is devastated. The novel by Somerset Maugham was adapted for the big screen. Afterwards, her performance in All About Eve garnered her a Best Actress nomination at the 1951 Academy Awards. As the young actress Eve Harrington, she acted out the role of a manipulative social climber. It is worth noting that she was nominated for 5 Oscars for Best Picture, including roles in The Ten Commandments, All About Eve, The Razor's Edge, and The Pied Piper. Billy Wilder, Alfred Hitchcock, and Fritz Lang are just a few of the legendary Hollywood filmmakers with whom she has collaborated. The Ten Commandments, in which she co-starred with Cecil B. DeMille, won her the Laurel Award for Best Leading Female Dramatic Performance. The role of Queen Nefretiri of Egypt in The Ten Commandments brought the Academy Award-winning actress fame. Many of her admirers, nevertheless, remember that her outfit was a total bust every time they view the film. The role of Nefretiri in the critically acclaimed film The Ten Commandments was a dream come true for Baxter in June 1954. The Paramount soundstages were where her parts were shot, and she was also present at the premieres in New York and Los Angeles. Notable critics such as the New York Daily and the Hollywood Reporter gave her favorable reviews, despite the fact that she was heavily criticized for her acting. A Loran Award was also bestowed upon her. "Oh Moses, You Stubborn Brilliant Lovely Fool" was one of 400 statements nominated for the American Film Institute's 100 Years, 100 Movie Statements list because of her iconic role in the film. Plus, she was the most in-demand actress of the year for her portrayal as Nefretiri. She penned an article for the newspaper in August 1955 headlined, "Egyptian Queen Role Offers Issue for Modern Movie Heroine," while filming The Ten Commandments. She wrote this essay on the topic of ancient Egyptian fragrances and cosmetics. It is interesting to note that Cecil B. DeMille's 1923 release of The Ten Commandments coincides with Baxter's birth year. Eventually, she'd play the lead role in the film's remake. And Baxter has been vocal about her dissatisfaction with the film, claiming that Cecil B. DeMille's ostentatious direction buried her dramatic abilities. Regardless, the picture was a huge hit. Her performance as Nefretiri solidified her position as a star actor and remains legendary for audiences of that era. The wardrobe attracted a lot of viewers because it was a historical drama. Set in the opulence of ancient Egypt, the clothing in the film reflected the era's magnetic pull. Considering the 1950s fashion norms of conservatism, Nefretiri's daring ensembles incorporated both revealing cuts and elaborate patterns. It complemented her attractiveness and flair, however her outfit was flawed. During her time portraying Nefretiri in the Book of Moses. Seeing this error now might make you roll your eyes, but the fact that it's a film from the 1950s makes the gaffe acceptable. One issue was that the biblical period did not yet have the color turquoise, which Baxter wore. Plus, her underwire was visible through her outfit. The outfits were problematic since they were see-through, revealing her figure. Some viewers have even noted that they can make out her nipples. And Baxter addresses the logistical challenges of donning such risky garments in her 1976 autobiography, Intermission, A True Story. She said that the outfits were essential to her character, but that she had to be careful not to show too much skin. There was very little room for creativity in Baxter's attire. Contrary to popular belief, she sported a skin-dyed G-string and bra underneath her costumes. She was actually covering herself up, but people thought she was bearing all because her underwear mixed in so well with her skin tone. She insisted she took these measures, but nobody believed her. Not everyone agreed, some even said they could see her nipple through her clothing. Film historians and audiences, particularly those with a penchant for critiquing classic Hollywood, have taken issue with certain moments. Rumors have circulated for a long time suggesting that in Baxter's costumes may have revealed more flesh than was originally planned. Because of these rumors, Baxter was the target of intense scrutiny. Many felt she was revealing too much skin by dressing in see-through clothing. The Ten Commandments wardrobe malfunction she had since she was required to wear a particularly exposing garment during that period. In order to play the character with the desired sensuality, Baxter had to dress modestly. It is to be expected that the famous actress in Baxter was embroiled in various rumors and controversies, given her fame. After All About Eve came out in 1950, one of the big myths started circulating. In theory, Baxter should have received an Oscar nomination for her performance in the film. Because of Bette Davis, though, the original plan was to classify her as a supporting actress instead. In the film, Bette Davis portrayed Margot Channing, her adversary. The rumor mill had it that in real life, they were mortal enemies. Many were concerned that Baxter's loss of the Best Actress trophy to the Supporting Actress category would just serve to heighten their animosity against one another. Baxter finally explained everything a few years after the film came out. That they were close in real life while being rivals on film. The actress clarified, "Bette and I did not have a feud on the set of All About Eve. The studio tried to play that up all during the filming, but I liked her very much. She'd come on the set and go SSSS at me, but it was just a joke between us. That was one of the happiest companies I've ever been in my life." However, when the Oscars rolled around, Baxter insisted on running for Best Actress against Davis, leading many to question whether the two were actually rivals in real life. In an interview, she mentioned that I was touted as the star of All About Eve. I felt I had worked too hard for all those years to be entered as a supporting actress because it would have meant taking a lower billing. A buddy of mine from the Academy gave me a call one day and informed me that, despite my objections, the studio was persisting in attempting to cast me in a supporting role. The Academy was concerned that her performance would be overshadowed by Davis's, but Baxter insisted that Davis run for Best Actress anyway. Aside from the Ten Commandments costume disaster after Anne Baxter's departure, Judy Holliday ended up winning the award for Born Yesterday instead of Anne Baxter. Even more surprising, there were other instances where she was embroiled in scandals. Anne Baxter frequently said that her Irish looks made her feel miscast as Nefretiri. "No, Baxter, your Irish nose stays in this picture," DeMille told her, firmly rejecting her desire to wear an Egyptian prosthetic nose. Baxter may have had some misgivings about the film, but she still watched it every Easter and enjoyed it. Avenging herself was Baxter's motivation for her part in the Ten Commandments. In David and Bathsheba, Baxter was cast by the studio as Bathsheba, but the film's director, Henry King, expressed his doubts about her ability to portray a biblical queen. Sue Hayward was cast in the role. In 1953, Baxter departed the studio, and in 1954, she exacted her vengeance at being cast as Nefretiri in Shakespeare's The Ten Commandments. By many accounts, it was the most commercially successful biblical film of all time. It appears that Anne Baxter also encountered difficulties in obtaining the role of the Razor's Edge, which she played famously in addition to the Ten Commandments. She discussed her initial rejection by Daryl Zanuck to play Sophie in The Razor's Edge in an interview. According to Daryl, she is a man-hater who has never had sexual relations. Baxter stated in the interview that Daryl Zanuck had the stereotypical perception of women as either librarians or broads. "I was a librarian, in his mind. I was intelligent in his eyes." She was cast in the role in the end. Many of Anne Baxter's jobs were the result of her long and arduous battles for them. Unfortunately, most people only recall the occasion when her lackluster attire in the Ten Commandments failed to leave much room for imagination. An actor's pride is well known, and Anne Baxter is no exception. "Acting is my identity, not my profession," she stated in an interview. "I consider it my permanent, built-in sanctuary." Unfortunately, not everyone shares this sentiment. Not to mention her terrible acting, her see-through costumes also failed to leave much room for imagination. Some even said they could see her nipples through them. Despite high praise for her performance from critics like DeMille and The Hollywood Reporter as well as positive reviews from publications like the New York Daily News, her portrayal of Nefretiri in the film was not without its detractors. While many have lauded her interpretations, some have found her performance to be too dramatic or unconvincing. Despite widespread disapproval of her performance, DeMille seemed to have gotten exactly what she was hoping for from the praise she received from prestigious magazines. The critiques have been harsher on Baxter, who many have criticized for acting that is too dramatic, wooden, or campy. The acting was so lackluster that some critics compared her to a first-year theater student, while others felt she made it hard to immerse themselves in the picture. Occurred during her sequences with Charlton Heston's Moses. Some have said that her lack of subtlety in the roles was distracting and annoying. Critics of Baxter's performances in films like The Ten Commandments have been vocal as well. Even in All About Eve, her portrayal failed to convince some viewers, and she has been accused of being an overactor, which has received numerous accolades. Some have gone so far as to say that her portrayal of the Ten Commandments was so caricatured that it brought out its worst qualities. A large number of Baxter's admirers continue to support her portrayal of Nefretiri. They claim that, while her combination of dramatic flair and emotional expressiveness may not be universally beloved, it was perfectly suited to the job. Supporters of her portrayal in the Ten Commandments claim that it was purposefully campy. Her inflated behavior is in keeping with the film's dramatic tone, she claims. According to them, Baxter's portrayal of Nefretiri satisfies the dramatic tone of DeMille's storytelling by highlighting her vanity and jealousy. Her character is still well remembered because of the joy and warmth she brought to the otherwise serious film. Despite early problems like costume disasters, and Baxter went on to have a successful acting career in films like The Ten Commandments. Being the famed architect and designer Frank Lloyd Wright's granddaughter has made her famous as well. Additionally, she studied acting under the tutelage of the renowned Russian actress and teacher Maria Ospanskaya when she was 13 years old. 2 times she has been considered for the Oscars. To the title of Best Supporting Actress. Baxter made her acting debut in a school play when she was 5 years old. She is still acting after moving to New York with her family at the age of 6. She went to see a Broadway show with Helen Hayes when she was 10 years old. She went home and informed her family she wanted to perform because she was so inspired. Thus, she made an appearance in the Broadway show scene but not heard by the age of 13, under the tutelage of her instructor. She landed the role of Katharine Hepburn's younger sister in the Philadelphia Story when she was 16 years old. Unfortunately, Hepburn's disapproval of Baxter's acting approach led to her replacement. Baxter, though, refused to give up and instead sought fame in Hollywood. And Baxter's career spanned 5 decades and was full with life and adventure. She had a screen test for Alfred Hitchcock's Rebecca when she was 16 years old. She was turned away due to her youth. Her career in Hollywood began with this. She made her film debut in 1940's 20 Mule Team and signed a 7-year contract with 20th Century Fox. In the years that followed, she honed her acting chops and starred in films such as Swamp Water and The Great Profile. Her role in the Best Picture and nominated The Pied Piper catapulted her to stardom. In 1946, Baxter won both the Golden Globe and Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role in The Razor's Edge. She frequently remarked that the poignant hospital scene was a work of art, inspired by her own suffering. Her versatility shone through in roles such as Yellow Sky's Tomboy and All About Eve's cunning Eve Harrington. She became a freelance actress in the 1950s, appearing in films including I Confess and The Ten Commandments, which she starred in. DeMille lauded her performance and she was still given a Laurel Award for her portrayal of Queen Nefretiri, despite the fact that critics were divided. Baxter began to concentrate on television in the 1960s, appearing in Batman and Ironside as a guest performer. Her 2 guest villain roles on Batman have made her famous, and she is the only actress to have done so. Season 3 had her as Olga, Queen of the Bessarabian Cossacks, while Season 1 featured her as Zelda the Great. In the 1970s, she made a triumphant return to Broadway as the lead in Applause, a musical based on All About Eve. She had reached a turning point in her professional life. Host of The Mike Douglas Show and star of the smash blockbuster Hotel were only 2 examples of her famous television work in her latter career. That year, 1983. Her versatility and perseverance shone throughout her career, as she consistently demonstrated her talent in a wide range of roles. And Baxter's fascinating private life has also brought her fame in Hollywood on occasion. Her personal life was another common target of criticism, right up there with the Ten Commandments outfits that failed to inspire much creativity. Baxter tied the knot 3 times during her lifetime. She tied the knot with actor John Hodiak in 1946. They divorced in 1952 after having a daughter in 1951. Even though she admitted that they were fundamentally incompatible at the time, she held herself responsible for their breakup. Filippo Napolitano, a gangster from the Gambino crime family, and Russell Birdwell, her publicist, were Baxter's romantic partners by the mid-1950s. Stepped in to manage her professional life. With a 10-year plan in place, they established Baxter Birdwell Productions to produce films starring Baxter and featuring Birdwell in behind the camera. Randolph Galt, a cattle station owner outside Sydney, was Baxter's second husband in 1960. Her husband abruptly uprooted the family to a New Mexico ranch after they had a daughter. Separation was finalized in 1969. Melissa Galt, their daughter, went on to have successful careers as a business coach and interior designer. It wasn't long until Baxter made his home on an Australian cattle ranch. It was extremely difficult labor, and I was extremely lonely, she said of her distaste for the experience. Half an hour in a jeep ride away was the closest town. There in the country, I lost a third of my babies after having two. Whenever I wasn't pregnant, I rode horses, cooked, took care of the children, and maintained a 26-room house. I even learned a little bit about cattle. She wed stockbroker David Klee in 1977. The marriage, however, was short-lived because Klee passed away the following year due to sickness. It was difficult for Baxter to pursue anything other than acting, she stated when describing her passion for the craft. She made the bold decision to juggle motherhood with her acting career. She proclaimed that juggling the roles of wife, mother, and employee is the most difficult thing she has ever encountered. To be clear, we desire it. I reversed the process. I lived on a ranch in Australia, for crying out loud.